Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to tackle the question of whether the Monsterverse and Godzilla are woke. Oh yes.
Boy, here we go.
Well, this question, believe it or not, this question has come up quite a bit during my streams over time, not like recently. This is a question I would say I've gotten about 4 times during a stream. And before we get into the whole thing, first let me say a very late Happy New Year to everybody. I know this is my first video in a while, and you know, basically you guys know the drill here. All right, do videos when I can, but otherwise priorities first, right? And there will be some videos coming. I probably about 2 tomorrow, and then I've got a couple coming next week. I've been writing scripts, so that's one of the reasons this video is late. I've been wanting to do this video since earlier in the week because we had a very big discussion about this last Friday stream. So I wanted to do a video like on Tuesday, but between work and all the other stuff, plus like I said, I have been writing scripts to prepare other videos going forward. But now that we're here, now that we're on the topic, is the Monsterverse and Godzilla woke? And this came up recently, not only well, like I said, it's come up on streams before, but primarily there was a post on the Facebook Nation page that somebody put up that regarding a thread that D-Man 1954, a tweet that he made, that he said, I'm constantly getting comments about Godzilla becoming woke. It makes me wish I could activate the Orca and let Titans wipe out Godzilla as always. Let Titans wipe us out. Godzilla has always, since day one, been a deeply political franchise. Liberal politics are in Godzilla's nuclear blood. Now, I definitely understand his feelings when it comes to wanting to, you know, hearing this about Godzilla and just kind of rolling your eyes, because, in short, Godzilla is not a woke franchise. The Monsterverse is not a woke franchise. I think it's pretty clear that it's not. The idea that people would even think that it's woke is kind of amusing to me. And there's a number of reasons why I think it's obvious. And there's actually some more, if you do a little bit of homework, more subtle, obvious reasons as to why it's not woke. The first obvious one is, if you look at all the films, the only one that even came, if you want to call this woke, the only one that even came close to maybe teetering towards wokeness would be King of the Monsters. And that's because of the whole basically saving the earth and what we've done to the earth kind of thing. And even that, I don't consider that remotely near woke. All right. If you want to call that liberal, that's fine. But there is a difference between a liberal and a woketopian. I know that a lot of people in the political field believe that woke and liberal are one and the same. They're not. What is liberal today versus what was liberal 10 years ago is very different. Basically, liberals have always kind of believed in climate change, and they've always believed in social justice. But there are liberals that have taken that to the extreme, a very, very extreme, which is what we now call the woke. And then there's the liberals that still believe in those principles. It's a vast difference. It's a vast difference. And if you pay attention to the political atmosphere over the last 10 years, you could see that there are some traditionally liberal people who have not veered very far to the left and have stayed in their current position, much to their demise, because these people still get canceled. And some of those liberal big people have kind of teamed with more conservative people against the hardcore left. So it's very important that people know that distinction. A lot of people don't. It's kind of surprising to me. Even mainstream talking heads have not made that difference between a liberal and a woketopian, you know, woketopians have basically taken the liberal beliefs and they've taken them to a far extreme. So that's the first thing. But the other reason that Godzilla is not a woke franchise is, first of all, Legendary is owned by a Chinese company. And wokeism is a Western thing. That is not something that is developed in places like Japan, stuff like that. You know, obviously, when you think about even leftism, traditional leftism, the woke has taken that and taken it even further. You know, traditional leftism is communism, fascism, and the left has taken it to an even bigger extreme, at least in terms of their beliefs and things they want to do. Those countries that believe in that sort of stuff, traditionally, like Russia, you know, obviously China, you know, China's kind of done a little bit of combo of capitalism and communism, which is why they're even though they're struggling now economically, it's one of the reasons why they have become a big power on the stage, the world stage, because of their economy and the foothold they have on many different countries in terms of the cheap labor that they offer, which is why a lot of companies around the world tend to go to China and not stay in their country. And then they are beholden to China because China's practices are that if you have a company over there, it's required to be, first of all, to have certain government employees from the Chinese government employed at that company. They have to have a certain amount, you know. So anyway, don't want to get too deep into that. But not only is it owned by a Chinese company, but Japan traditionally is not as liberal as I think people think they are. This is a big conversation we had on Friday, and we had to kind of go back in history and take a look. I mean, if you look at Japan's history and the empire and their imperialism, there's nothing liberal about that. In terms of world history, from where Japan started to where they are now, in the last 60, 70 years, they are just turning the corner and becoming more liberal. And even then, they have a long way to go. You know, look, Japanese people obviously are great people, and Japan is not necessarily a communist country. They're not a communist country at all. They are homogenistic though. And what this means is that 98% of the population is Japanese. Yes, there's freedom there. I mean, there's obviously American people and other people from different races that live there. But if you actually do some research and you look, it's a struggle to try and live in Japan as someone who's not Japanese. And most people don't make it. Most people do not last 3 months in Japan because you are looked at as an outsider, for better or worse. The freedoms that you enjoy here in this country would not be extended to you in Japan. That doesn't mean they would hate someone like you. It's just they take care of their own first. You know, for all the criticisms that some people give this country when you do run into a politician that wants to focus on America first, that's something that Japanese people and Japanese government do. You know, yeah, you can go over there and have success. You can go over there and get a place to live and a job, but you're not the first choice. You know, if you were a very talented, let's say, technician, or you work in the technical industry, you go over there, even if you're slightly or better qualified for a job, you're not going to get it because you're not Japanese. And if that sounds wrong to you, well, yeah, because we don't do it like that here. They do it like that over there, and that's it. There's no civil rights there. You know, it's not like you can say, oh, well, I was better qualified, I'm going to sue. For what? That's just not how it works there. If you could even find a lawyer in Japan that would represent you for that very reason, that's Japanese. Again, it's not shitting on them. That's just how it is there, you know? That's how they run their country, and that's it, you know? Just like other countries, we don't always agree with how countries run their government and stuff like that, but that's how they do it, and we have to respect it even if we don't agree with the moral behind it. So yeah, there's no way, I don't think you'll ever see wokeness in the Monsterverse for those two reasons alone. The fact that it's owned by a Chinese company. China just does not believe in that bullshit. Not to the extent that, you know, yes, China is a communist country, but you know, the whole wokeness that has developed here, which is a combination of communism, fascism, and all the other crazy shit that they put in there, there's certain things about that are not going to be acceptable to a Chinese company and won't even be acceptable to Japan. I mean, you know, over here, gay people have obviously a great freedom. Everybody talks about gay rights and all that kind of stuff, trans rights and all that kind of stuff. You're not getting that over there. In fact, you're not getting that in pretty much most countries with the exception of Europe and England. And then it's because, like I said, it's a Western thing. And I know people are gonna say, oh, but what about all these animes where it's a little risque and tongue in cheek? Well, understand something. In the last 20 years, anime has blown up in popularity over here to an extent probably bigger than it is where it comes from. They're very much aware of what's popular here. These guys are businessmen. So, of course, they're going to have certain animes that are going to kind of cater to people who might like that kind of stuff. It's business, you know, but if you go to Japan, I mean, again, it's not to say that there's not gay people there and there's not people who, but compared to here, in terms of how it's front and center here, it's not front and center like that over there. I'm not even sure how they treat their own who are come out as gay but I'm pretty sure it's not nearly as acceptable socially as it is here. I don't think they ostracize people, at least not openly, but again, that's just something I'm not sure about. But you can just tell, you know, again, it's not like that in other countries the way it is here. And in terms of China, forget it. I mean, this is not happening. You want gay rights, China is the wrong direction to look at. I'll tell you right now. Phone's always going off during the day. So yeah, in terms of being woke, I don't think that's something you'll have to ever really worry about with the Monsterverse. I don't think it's gonna happen. The whole saving the earth thing, that's been around with the Godzilla stuff for a long time. I mean, Smog Monster, there's a whole song called Save the Earth, right? So I think in terms of that's liberal, but that is traditional liberalism, which is, you know, something that's been around far longer than this whole woke push that we've gotten in the last 10 years. So in that sense, yeah, I mean, you're gonna find little caveats of liberalism in the Godzilla movies, but do I think, this is probably where I disagree with D-Man a little bit. I don't think Godzilla movies or the franchise in and of itself have been overly as political as he's making it sound, but there have been movies that have been primarily the message. It's always nature and the planet. That's pretty much where it's always stood. And that is, you know, that's fine. I mean, I think most people believe in climate change, even people on the right. I just think the ideas of how to approach it are different on both sides, and that's where it gets people butt heads and people come to have disagreements. Me personally, honestly, I don't think, you know, when you have this many people in the world against each other, how could you possibly even consider that you are capable of doing anything positive for the earth? You'd have to get everyone on the same page. And when you have countries that are just blatantly not even regarding the planet in terms of what they do, you know, and not to mention, and it's one extreme as the other, right? So you have like maybe a certain country that, like China, who just pollution up the ass, and then you have countries over like us that want to do all these hundreds and thousands. It would take thousands upon thousands of all those giant wind, what like the I forget what they call them, but you know, the clean energy thing where they want to build like these wind turbines or whatever, or anyway, you know what I'm getting at. I forget what the exact name was. And that's another extreme, because you would need literally thousands of those things, and they're actually more expensive to produce than the result you would get out of them. So, you know, the idea of saving the planet to me is just asinine. I mean, the human race can't even take care of each other, let alone save a planet. And not only that, the planet's done pretty well before we came around. You know what I mean? So I've always thought the idea of save the earth or this, I always thought it was a joke. And I always thought it was very arrogant of anyone to think that the human race right now is actually possible of accomplishing that. It's just not. It's not happening. So that's my view. You got two extremes that are not compromising, and they can't come together. And even if they did, you got to get literally 6 billion people on the planet to agree on this. Yeah, good luck. But anyway, yeah, no. Godzilla is not a woke franchise. Monsterverse is not a woke franchise. I would be surprised if we ever see it happen. I would imagine, considering Legendary is owned by China, I don't think you're ever going to see it. I don't think it's going to happen. And you know what? it shouldn't need to. One of the benefits that the Monsterverse has received from not actually going down that route is they're gaining an audience. You know, when you have so much media out there that is forcing that woke messaging that we all just, well, I shouldn't say all, most of us dislike, or even in general, just political messages in movies in general. It doesn't matter if it's left or right. We just don't want it. The Monsterverse is one of the few franchises out right now that are not doing that in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's also one of the benefits as to why it's growing. So I think they're better off just staying the course. But yeah, there's always a chance that they might sneak something in, but I can't see it when it's owned by a Chinese company and when Toho is hands-on with some of the production of the movies, and Toho just, you know, they might push some of those political messages here just for a business standpoint. But if you think that that's something they're going to want in their movies beyond the basic liberal, old school liberal message of nature and their planet and nuclear power, yeah, I don't think they're going to go any further than that. So, but we'll see. But otherwise, no, at the current moment, it's not woke. I don't think it is. And yeah, and that's that. I think people who think it's woke are just, this is the part of the right side that annoys me, is like they're getting just as extreme as the left, but only for their own beliefs without kind of at least looking at things. It's like not everything that comes out is woke. You know what I mean? We need to call it out when we see it, but we can't just stamp everything woke if it has, I don't know, a climate change. I don't think climate change to me is a woke department, because that's been around since before the whole woke-topian movement, the whole climate change. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think it's asinine, you know, not because I don't believe in climate change, but just because of the fact that no one's ever going to be able to accomplish this. You know, we just don't have the capacity right now to negotiate and to come to terms with an agreement, to have any way, shape, or form of saving the planet. And quite frankly, the planet doesn't need to be saved. The planet's been around long before us and has gone through a lot worse than we're putting it through right now. I think the message when people want to save the planet is they want to be around longer. But if the planet decides to go, you know, tells you to go fuck yourself and end us, hey, guess what? We had a good ride, and we just move on. So I think the planet will be fine. That's always been my opinion. The idea that us little beings can actually destroy this planet, believe me, it's not happening. This thing is just look at the history of the planet, and you'll kind of see where I'm coming from. So, but anyway, yeah, Godzilla's not woke. Don't worry, we're not going down that path. I don't think we ever will. You know, again, it's owned by a Chinese company. By the way, the name of the Chinese company is Wanda Group. You can look it up. They've had it. And as far as liberalism and policy being in the Godzilla franchise, like I said, I would agree with this D-Man on that. While there's only been really one political talking point that's been in most Godzilla movies, that's been the whole Earth and nuclear thing. Beyond that, there's really hasn't been. I mean, when you look at some of these movies, do they look political to you? I mean, come on, honestly. With the exception of maybe 54, Smog Monster, and maybe Shin Gojira, there's not too many of them that are really that political to begin with. They're really mostly cheesy, fun, goofy, monsters talking kind of movies, and that's that. Plus, not to mention, like I said, Japan has not been. They're not a liberal country. They've turned a corner, but it's a very slow turn. They've got a long way to go. But when you look at Japan's history, there's nothing there that I mean, come on, they in World War II. I mentioned this on last Friday's stream. In World War II alone, when they were taking over China alone, they killed 18 million people. So does that sound liberal? There's nothing liberal about that. So, you know, yes, they're obviously a great country now, and I think it's probably a better place to visit than it is to live. And I've even had, for those of you who come to the stream, Mr. L, who was stationed out there for a long time, and he said, yeah, I wouldn't live there. He said, I'd visit, but I wouldn't live. And this is a guy who's actually spent time out there. And just do your research, do your homework. I've actually done this because my son wants to live in Japan, and I'm like, man. And when I found out, I was shocked. You know, when I started watching vloggers who actually lived there and they expressed the difficulties and how they knew people who tried it and they just couldn't deal with it because, you know, for all the things we love about Japan, you know, there's still underneath the kaiju and the tokusatsu and the anime is a homogenous country that take care of their own, period. And when you take care of your own, it's not like here. You know, you can come in as an immigrant, legal or illegal, apparently, and you can get a job and you have an opportunity and you can build yourself, you know. Over there, yeah, you can do that, but you're gonna have a lot of walls in front of you before you even come close to accomplishing that. And that's, again, this is a part of the country, of this country, that I think a lot of people fail to understand. And this is a part of America that I think a lot of young people take for granted in this current political atmosphere, is America's bad this, America's bad that. Well, you know, if you really want to see how bad America is, go live somewhere else first. And believe me, you'll probably be back here in no time. So, you know, sometimes we got to appreciate the things we do have, and that's that. So, but anyway, that's it for this video. I know it's probably the kind of topic a lot of people don't like, and I get it, but this is a question that has come up before. I kind of wanted to address it. And then when I saw D-Man saying this, like I said, I feel the way he feels. You know, the fact that people are even thinking Godzilla is getting anywhere near woke is absolutely ridiculous. So, but believe me, when it does, if and when it does, well, believe me, I'll be the first one to say it. You guys know it. So I'm a big Godzilla fan, big kaiju fan, but I'm not a blind one. And if they got ultra woke, I'll be the first one to come over here and shit all over it. So, but anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I know it was long, but there was a lot to kind of fit in there. And like I said, we do have videos coming. I got 2 coming tomorrow. This is going to be the only one today because I want to finish working on the other ones. And then we'll kind of roll into next week with the other plans. They're going to be all Godzilla videos, all about Monsterverse and the upcoming Godzilla and Kong movie and things like that. So yeah, that's it. And then of course I'll see you guys for tomorrow night's stream. Saturday stream, we're gonna have to see. The Giants play Saturday night. It's a big playoff game. I don't want to miss that. So it may only be one stream this week, or I might stream early Saturday so I can get off early and watch the game. I'll let you know. All right, guys, that's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.